So what's going on, guys? DIY Dan here again, and this is another mechanical video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a tool I purchased off of Amazon for crimping on battery cable ends. Now, we are Amazon affiliates, and I will put the link to this tool along with some of the other items that I mentioned in this video in my description if you want to get any of those coming. This tool can come in really handy when you have a battery terminal cable end go bad or get corroded to the point where it needs to be replaced, but don't want to pull the entire cable out of the vehicle. I'm going to go over what I like about this tool, what I don't like about this tool, and how to use it. And then after I'm done with that, I will go over two situations that I had come about with two different vehicles and how I use this tool in order to fix those problems. I'll also go over a couple alternative ways to replace battery cable ends without having to use a special tool like the one I'm using in this video. Now, that being said, I do like crimp on battery terminal ends. I think they're far more reliable than the other options that I'm going to show you. So let's get to it. So real quick, I'm going to go into the functions that this tool has and how to use it. So the first thing you'll notice is you do have different options as far as the size of crimp that you will need to do. And these are basically just magnetically held in place on the tool. So you can pick what size you need and then enter it into the tool. One thing about this tool that I thought was pretty cool is it does have a 360-degree pivot on the head of the tool, which might come in handy more or less in the vehicle versus if you're doing a crimp like I'm about to show you outside of the vehicle, depending on the angle you need to get in order to get that crimp accomplished. The rest of this tool is pretty self-explanatory. It basically operates like a bottle jack. There is a knob in order to tighten or loosen the actual tool, and then there's a handle to basically pump, just like a jack does, to make that crimp. So far I only have one dislike about this tool. I'm going to tell you what that is. You'll notice this big battery cable end that I have. I was trying to use that. However, it would not open far enough to do this size of cable. Now, this isn't going to be a problem with your basic DIY or automotive. However, when doing heavy equipment or large diesel vehicles like semis, this could potentially be a problem. And I'm almost positive that they do make them with a longer stroke, so they do open farther to rectify that problem. So right here, I'm just using the supplied cable loppers that came with this tool in order to cut a cable. And I'm just going to do a little bench test in order to show you how this works. Then using those same cable loppers, I just lightly squeezed against the insulation and twisted the cable loppers in order to strip that insulation off of the cable. When choosing whatever cable end you're going to put on your cable, make sure you get one that fits as tightly as possible over the copper of the cable to ensure the best crimp and the best holding power. Now, I have run into instances where the wire I want to put in a cable lug end is just too small. So what I like to do in that situation is strip back the insulation off of the wire a lot farther than I normally would, twist that wire together, and then fold the copper over on itself several times if needed in order to fill that cable lug end. Now, what I'm showing you on this bench test is obviously way exaggerated because it is a really small wire. But for example purposes, you see what I'm getting at. Usually I only fold it back on itself once or maybe twice if needed. If you have to fold it back on itself more than 2 times, you should really be looking at a different type of connector that has a much tighter fit. This works great on smaller cable sizes. It's not really an option once you get into the bigger cable sizes. The other thing I did think was pretty cool is it did come with an extra set of seals, because this, just like any other hydraulic jack, does have a possibility of starting to leak in the future depending on how much it gets used or how it's stored, which is one of the main issues with these type of battery crimpers. Is you do have that possibility, but at least you are prepared for it if it does happen. So that's how to use this tool. Now I'm going to get into 2 situations where I use this tool in order to correct 2 different problems I had on 2 different vehicles. So the main reason I bought this was to put it in my work truck because I have needed it from time to time while working. But it just so happens soon after buying this tool, my daughter needed new batteries in her 2001 F250 with a Power Stroke. And while replacing those batteries, I noticed that the battery terminal end for the positive side of the passenger side battery was starting to get really corroded, which is bound to happen because this vehicle is over 25 years old. I'd actually looked into just getting a brand new positive battery cable, but because this runs from the starter to the passenger side battery, then all the way over to the driver's side battery is one cable, they wanted $350 on Amazon to get a new cable. So at that point I decided, that I'm just going to get some new ends and put them on and rectify the problem that way. The funny thing about the repair I did is this truck would crank over fine and start. However, after doing this repair on the positive cable on the passenger side battery, the cranking speed definitely increased from what it had in previous years. So the corrosion that was built up in that battery cable terminal was causing a little bit slower of a crank speed on this engine, which on a diesel engine could eventually cause a no start. So one of the big issues that you might run into when trying to put new battery ends on your vehicle is that once you cut that battery end off and try and crimp a new one on, sometimes it can be too short. So what you can do is basically what I ended up doing on this vehicle is I bought these type of terminal adapters and then put this style of battery end on that cable, which basically ends up making it the same length as it was before doing any cutting on that battery cable. And when using a battery crimper tool like this, I tend to do a double crimp, so you can see that I crimped it more towards the battery cable side, and then I did another crimp more towards the end side, just to make sure that it has as much holding power as possible. Once double crimping that end and tugging on it to make sure that those cables were nice and tight, then I just used a piece of heat shrink to cover the battery cable end, and then used my little butane torch in order to shrink that heat shrink tightly over those cables. Now you'll notice I actually have two cables going into that single cable end, and that's because I had a big enough cable end to put both of those cables into that cable end. If you don't have that option, you can always put them on separate cable ends and then just stack them up on the terminal adapter. Once the heat shrink was tight around the installation and the battery end, then I just went ahead and put the protective sheathing that was previously on that battery cable back over the top of it, and then used some electrical tape to finish that off to hold it in place. And then I basically did the same thing for the cable coming from the driver's side battery. And that's about all there is to fixing these cable ends. So right here, I'm just setting the new battery in place, and you can see I have that battery terminal adapter on the positive post already. Once securing the battery back in place, always hook your positive cables up before your grounds. Now, because I had to put a little bigger cable end on the positive cable coming from the starter, and it had a little bit more surface area to it, I put it on the bottom. Then I went ahead and put the cable end that was running from the driver's side battery over the top of that. Went ahead and put a lock washer, which did not come with the battery terminals, over the top of the battery stud on top of the cables, and then tightened down the wing nut. Now I do recommend getting a pair of pliers and tightening that wing nut a little bit more than what you can do by hand, because once again, you don't want that possibly coming loose, which could give you a no start or a no crank. Once tightening those down, I did tighten the battery terminal adapter to the battery. I didn't do this beforehand because in case I needed to pivot it a little bit to make those cables fit a little better. Once fully securing the positive cable on the passenger side battery, then I went over to the driver's side, set that battery in place, tightened down the positive cable on that side. Once both positive cables were fully secured to the battery, then I went ahead and put the ground battery cable on the driver's side battery, then went back over to the passenger side and secured the passenger side ground cable to the battery. So here's a final look at the two crimps that I redid on the passenger side battery of this 2001 F-250 with a Power Stroke. I did end up doing the ground as well, and on the ground side, instead of using the terminal adapter, I did do a post cable end, similar to this one that I found on Amazon. However, there was a smaller ground that I could not reach it around to get it inside that crimp end to put both of them in there, and therefore I ended up putting this style of end on that smaller ground, and then use this type of bolt to clamp it that had an auxiliary stud on it, which I was kind of surprised. I had a hard time finding them on Amazon. I did find this 10-pack, but it was rather expensive. However, if you go to your local auto parts stores, this was actually at an AutoZone next to my house. They will usually have a pretty wide variety of any possible battery cable end or any auxiliary that you might need to get for your application. One thing I almost forgot to mention is when you're putting the heat shrink on, it's always a good idea to put that on before the cable end. Just makes it easier, like I'm showing you here on this video clip. However, when doing this style of cable end, you can usually just slide it over the cable end, so it's not that critical. However, when doing the style that actually is a post, usually you're not going to be able to get the size heat shrink over the post part of that terminal end. So you do need to make sure you put it on before crimping that cable end in place. And it is a very easy mistake to make. I've done it before and then I get pissed because I either got to cut off that cable end and do it again, or just use electrical tape, which I don't feel gives nearly as much protection as that heat shrink. So that's going to wrap it up as far as the Ford goes. I'm going to let you listen to the cranking speed that it has after doing this repair, and then we're going to get into doing the Nissan. So on my other daughter's 2004 Nissan Xterra with the V6, I had a different situation. She was complaining that she would have to hit the ignition a couple times, and sometimes it would be a no crank, sometimes it would be a very slow crank, and she would smell electrical. Once I actually took a serious look at it, I realized that the ground cable on the battery would just basically lift right up and off the battery. Shut it off. It did. Hey, loose ground. Now I did try and put this battery cable end back on and tighten it down. However, it didn't matter how tight I went, it would still just lift right up and off the battery. So a loose battery connection like this can definitely cause you problems. I actually ended up having to do a starter on this vehicle as well. And I can almost guarantee you that that loose ground cable on the battery probably shortened the life of this starter that I had to replace. So I basically ended up doing the same repair that I did on the Ford on this ground cable. When repairing a cable end inside the vehicle like this, sometimes a second set of hands comes in extremely helpful to help hold that cable in the cable end while you are making the crimp. At this point, I did decide just to go buy a battery because this battery was almost 3.5 to 4 years old and I didn't think it was going to last much longer anyways. And then because I didn't really like the cable end that was on the positive either, I replaced that terminal as well. I did end up having one small hiccup when going to do that. The stud that was in the old terminal was equivalent to a 5/16, and the terminal that I bought was equivalent to a 3/8 on the positive. So what I ended up having to do is, after cleaning those cable ends up, I did have to remount the hole just a little bit so it would fit that bigger stud. Once reaming those out, I just put the battery back in and then went ahead and tightened down that terminal on the post and then the battery ends on that stud. Once again, using a pair of pliers to tighten down that wing nut to ensure a nice tight connection. So real quick, I'm gonna let you listen to the engine fire up after doing the battery and the 2 battery terminal connectors. And then about a week later, as I said, I had to put a starter in this thing, and I'll let you listen to it after I put the starter in. So if you listen closely, you can still hear just a tiny bit of hesitation before it actually starts cranking over. Yeah. So then within a week, this happened. So then I replaced that starter, and here's what it sounded like after that. Now obviously there's no way to be absolutely certain, but I do believe that those loose battery connections led to a premature failure of that starter. So that's going to wrap it up for as far as the battery tool goes, but I did say I would show you an optional way to do a battery end repair, even though I'm not a big fan of it, without using any special tools, and it just so happens I have a reference of this as well. When I bought my Jeep TJ not that long ago, it actually came with this style of battery repair on the positive and the negative of the battery. Basically all you have to do with these is, once you strip the insulation off the cable, stick it inside there and tighten down a couple bolts, which basically pinches that cable between the 2 parts of the terminal end. I do feel these are more likely to come loose over time. However, the benefit to them is if they do come loose and you start having a problem, you can tighten them right back up. Whereas with a crimp on, it is a little bit more difficult to do that. So that is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Hopefully it helped you and it gave you some good information. If so, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. The whole concept of my channel is to give you guys the most information in the least amount of time as possible so I don't waste your time. And I hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Later.